Okay, this should be fun. Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, is the most recent film from the Star Wars saga in the Skywalker universe. Oh boy. So, I'm going to get this right out of the way. I have not seen a film have such a divided fan response or backlash since probably X-Men 3 or Man of Steel. This was such a divided backlash. Oh my gosh. And there are two extremes. You either love this movie and think it's the best Star Wars film since Empire, or you hate this film and it killed your childhood, ruined your franchise, and you're no longer a fan of Star Wars, and this is a god-awful thing, and Rian Johnson deserves to burn in hell for what he did. I am here to say this. I am in neither camp. First off, this is not the best Star Wars film since Empire, alright? There are so many missteps in the story that it's hard to say it's the best Star Wars film since Empire Strikes Back. But there are enough good things to make it a decent Star Wars film. And for the record, people saying that they're no longer fans of the franchise or that this killed their childhood, that's BS. I mean, yes, your childhood must have been so fascinating for a movie to ruin everything. Oh no! And this ruined Star Wars? Absolutely not. If that was the case, Star Wars would have been ruined back in 1999. Do you know how many bad Star Wars novels and comics and games have come out? But no one said those killed Star Wars, so how come this thing did? Anyways, how do I feel? Here's my controversial opinion. It's sad I have to say it, but here it is. I like Last Jedi. Like it. I don't love it. There are plenty of issues with this film, and I won't lie. When I first saw the film, I kind of fanboyed a little and said it was freaking amazing. But as time has gone on and I've watched it repeatedly, there are a few more issues than I probably gave it. And I probably didn't notice at first. But let's start with the positives, because despite what the whole of the internet may have you believe, there are some positives in this. First off, I think in terms of filmmaking, this is the best made film in the franchise. Hear me out on this. Let's start with that cinematography. It is spectacular. It's not just, oh yeah, it's good, blah, blah, blah. No, this is amazing. This is Oscar-worthy cinematography. The way that the film looks is beautiful and amazing. And the locations are so well filmed. It is downright and hands down the most realistic feeling, and hands down probably the most fleshed out worlds we have yet to see in the Star Wars universe. The worlds of Ahch-To and even the awful Canto Bight and in the world of Crate, these feel so fleshed out and real. Even though Canto Bight feels like a ripped off Vegas, and I'm going to get to that location soon. And yes, this film is beautifully edited. If every scene flows so well, it feels like it cuts just when it needs to. Though I think there are some scenes that need more fleshing out, that should have been drawn out, and they should have cut different scenes. And I'm going to get to that too. I also think that John Williams' score is downright amazing. He can do no wrong. He is amazing in this film. And here's another controversial take. I think there are some really good aspects to the story of Last Jedi. I think it's half and half. It has a really good track that it should have stayed with, then it has a really bad track that unfortunately kind of stops us dead in its tracks. The pacing in this film is broken, because I think you had a really fascinating story with Luke and Rey training on Ahch-To, Rey finding all these secrets in the island, this light and dark force divisive island. I think there's a fascinating story here, and I wish we could have gotten more of that. But then there's this subplot, which admittedly does need to have some appearance of the Resistance, what's left of the Resistance fleeing the First Order, with Leia, Poe, and Finn trapped aboard the ship. And admittedly, the opening is quite exciting. Poe Dameron just flying around, destroying First Order towers and knocking down TIE fighters. And yes, I do agree that the bomber designs for the Resistance are kind of impractical, but then again, it is a sci-fi fantasy realm. I'm not exactly here for plausible and logical things, though I do agree that the designs could have been better. Why not just stick with Y-Wings? Why not just stick with the fast Y-Wing proton bombers? But that being said, it has a somewhat cool opening. And I love the way it kicks off. But this portion of the film drags on. The chase scene between the First Order and the Resistance, it could have been done so much better, other than let's just keep driving in forward motion, then we'll just wait them out. It's just boring, and every time we cut back to it, I fast forward. I'm like, this is boring. I don't want to watch this. The only time when it's legitimately exciting is when Kylo Ren leads a squadron of TIE fighters, and they're bombing the Resistance ships, and they're tearing right through them. That is exciting. And I love the idea of the fighters being crippled and the Resistance, having very little defenses. That's a genius idea. But they never go anywhere with it. They needed to do that. They needed to flesh this out more than just make it an extended, overly long chase sequence. I wish they'd done more with that. And I have to get this out of the way. Holdo, played by Laura Dern, who is a great actress. Laura Dern's a fantastic actress. But the writing for her character makes no sense. She comes across as really kind of egotistical and stupid, even though Leia is technically in command. And I'm like, if she really trained under Leia, Leia would not do any of the things that she does in this film. I don't get why she felt the need to hide the plan from Poe Dameron. Wouldn't you want your soldiers and your crew to know what your plan is? Lieutenant? Head of the Resistance? Why do you not tell him your plan? It's stupid and so poorly written and thought out. I don't care if they say it's the humble Poe. No, you tell your best pilot what your plan is before he does something stupid like what they actually end up doing. Rose Tico. Now I'm going to say this. The hate thrown her way is inexcusable, and I'm ashamed and I am disgusted by anyone who did that. Is the character poorly written? Yeah, but she does an okay job. The performances are really good in the film. She does an okay job. Okay? Because, she's doing what she can with what she's written. It's disgusting to flat out attack her and troll her and just do all that stupid stuff just because she played a character in a film. Though the character, admittedly, is poorly written, she feels like she's just there. She doesn't serve any grand purpose, and the one time she does anything is kind of an interrupted moment, like when Finn goes to sacrifice himself at the Battle of Crate, which, for the record, I don't think his stupid thing would have done anything against that cannon. You have this rickety old speeder that's falling apart, that's made of tissue paper, going against this giant cannon. I think it would have just made a thunk. That's just my take, though. I think it would have just made a thunk. Oh, look at that, he crashed. Keep going. So, there's that. Her character just feels thrown in. And the Canto Bight scene goes on way, way too long. Yes, it is visually interesting and there are some comedy aspects, but it feels like the film is just slowing down for these parts. It feels like that the film just kind of grinds to a halt. Meanwhile, on Oct 2, we have really interesting stuff. Oh my gosh. And I know people did not like Luke Skywalker as Old Hermit. I freaking loved it. It makes sense. If everything that you had worked so hard to build fell apart and your life just kind of crumbled before your eyes, wouldn't you kind of have the same reaction? Wouldn't you also feel that it's your fault, you screwed everything up, and now you're just kind of, you're cutting yourself off? It happens. This happens to people. I like that approach with Luke, and it shows there are still changes going on, because as you get older, the person you are changes. Even as you grow from adult into like an old person, your views change, the way you act, it changes, and the way you operate changes. It makes sense that Luke cuts himself off from the Force. I like this idea that, and the way that he explains it to Rey is really good about how he was a legend, how, he was the Jedi that saved Darth Vader, and he caused the downfall of the Empire. That makes total sense. I'm the legend. I'm supposed to be the Jedi that saved everyone. And yet I'm the reason we're in this mess in the first place. Now I have to talk about the controversial scene where Luke apparently goes to kill Kylo Ren. Fans have trashed this scene, and honestly, kind of rightly so. This doesn't really line with Luke's character. I know there are changes, but we need reason for it. The reason of Luke being a hermit makes sense because they gave us context. I don't think I would have minded this change if they'd given us reasons. If they'd given us context, like maybe throughout the years, Luke sees this similar thing in people, like Darth Vader, like they have darkness rising in them, but he reaches out to save them, only to prove some of them can't be saved, and they end up causing mass death and destruction, and they end up wiping out people. But it doesn't make sense that he'd do this with his nephew. I mean, we needed more context. I don't mind the idea. We've seen this done before, certain characters doing things that we don't exactly, or not exactly used to, but when given the right context and scenario, it works. But they don't do that here. I feel this is the real misstep with Luke here. They really needed to give context behind his actions. Had they done it, and had they really done their part to set it up and build it up, I think it would have worked, but it doesn't. Though admittedly, I like Rey's story arc here. I like how she is very conflicted. She feels like she's finally found the man who's going to show her her way in the universe, only for him not to. And this island is so confusing to her. My favorite scene with her is when she finally finds that dark cave, and she goes to see, are my parents here? Is this where I'm going to find my answers? And she finds nothing. That is interesting. And it's a detour that we have yet to see in Star Wars, and it really can be interesting. This detour, this idea that maybe you won't find your answers, what you're looking for here. Maybe you have to look elsewhere. That is really interesting. And I love the stuff with Kylo Ren as well. I said in Force Awakens review that he was the most interesting character in this trilogy. He absolutely is. Because you have this cool thing where they're connected to each other with their Force. Like, they're connected with each other through the Force. They can see and communicate with each other. But I love what they do. I like how Kylo Ren immediately knows, you can't do this. The effort alone would kill you. How he's just trying to figure out, how are our minds connected? And at one point, they just kind of embrace it. I think it's brilliant. And I love the idea that Snoke is just taunting, calls him a child in a mask, says that he's nothing more than just a rabid dog trying to be more than what he is. And Kylo Ren goes to prove him wrong. It's actually a good arc for his character. He's trying to control his anger, but at the same time, he still has yet to learn. He's trying to harness something he doesn't fully know how to control. And that's really good, and I love that about him. I think that also a lot of this Rey-Kylo story arc is really interesting and the best part of the series, of the two films we've gotten so far. I think it's really good. I like Rey's character because we're still seeing that naivete. She thinks that we're going to find this Grand Master only to have her expectations shattered. She's going to find Kylo Ren only to find out, and she thinks she can turn him, like it'll be just like Darth Vader, only to find out that he may be too far gone as well. And the look on her face, the sadness, the heartbreak, it's there. And I think it's really good. What I think that this film needed to do, you had to kind of really downsize the Resistance side, but still have it there because it's important. We need to know what's happening with the Resistance in the First Order, but focus more on Rey and Kylo and Luke. Focus on this aspect. I love the scenes with Rey and Luke. I think they're the best parts of the film where Luke is teaching her. How he teaches her through just a few lessons about the Force, about the Jedi Order, and about how this world really works. Her naivete is still there. She still believes in these childhood legends only for Luke to tell her sometimes legends are nothing more than legends. In fact, legends are the reason that they're in the mess they're in. Now, I will address the thing about Rey's parents. I do think Kylo is lying to her, and I think JJ is going to go that route. However, it's kind of a pick your poison here. If you say she's a Skywalker, then you'd have people dismissing it as, oh, then she's no one special. She's just a Skywalker or a Kenobi. She's no one special. She's just another one in the bloodline. But then again, if you don't say, then it's like, okay, then who is she? I think either one can work if given the proper writing, and I think we're going to get that in Rise of Skywalker. And I'm not going to lie, I do like how we are like Rey, we're sort of left wondering, what now? She doesn't know where to look. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know who to turn to. She's just kind of lost. Anyone that she had hoped would show her who she was, it's gone now. She has to figure it out on her own. Similar to Luke in Empire Strikes Back. He's sort of left with a lot of questions. he's still left wondering, what is this? What does this mean? What am I going to do now? He had to figure it out on his own because Obi-Wan couldn't help him as much and Yoda passed away. He has to figure it out on his own. And I like that thing here with Rey. I think her character is doing more. And I don't think it's being a Mary Sue. I think it's just saying that she's confused. She doesn't yet know. She is still trying to figure it out. And like Luke in Rise of Skywalker, and like Luke in Return of the Jedi, she has to figure it out for herself. She can't rely on everyone anymore. I like the idea with Luke and Rey's relationship. I think it's really good. However, I think the writing with the Canto Bite scenes drag it down. There is a little too much comedy in here. I love the comedy in Force Awakens, but it was well timed. It's not as well timed here in Last Jedi. I think that there's so many scenes where just let us have our serious moments and stop with the jokes. I also think that in a few ways, the turns and twists that people who love this movie praise aren't needed. They don't exactly break the lore, but they're not needed necessarily. And of course, you do have that scene with Snoke. I can understand why people were pissed off that he was killed and we learned nothing more about him. I totally get it. I was never pissed off, though, because I'm like, well, he was... I think a lot of us knew he's just going to be our, like the Emperor, he's just our secondary antagonist. I never thought he was that intimidating or that interesting a character. I'm like, okay, it is lazy, and I think they could have done better, should have done better. Have something connecting him and Luke. Have some kind of connection there. Something, like a line of dialogue, a flashback, something. I never got that mad because... okay, Kylo's just the main villain. We knew that going in. And I have to address this. The Holdo maneuver. It does not break Star Wars canon. No. In fact, it's never been established that this can't be done. And I know that they're saying, oh, convenience. How come they didn't do this before? It's a sci-fi fantasy realm. It's suspension of disbelief. I actually thought it was not cool with the sound design. I like the idea. It's actually really unique. And I think the big reason they didn't do it in, like, say, the reason they didn't do it in Return of the Jedi, cool, yeah, you could do that. You'd wipe out half the Rebel fleet and pretty much every starfighter around, but sure, you could do it. At least there, the escape pods had already crash landed, and she was just trying to prevent the First Order, at least slow them down. Admittedly, the film runs on too long. I think this film, that climax, the Battle of Crate, that should have been in the second act. Have the Resistance forced to crash land. Have that fuel run out and they're forced to crash land. And then, just as Rey is learning the realities with Luke, then have the battle on Crate. I think this film should have been at least 20 to 25, maybe even 30 minutes shorter. Cut it shorter. Have that battle in the second act and have the Resistance on the brink of defeat before Rey saves them, which is what the Jedi have done in the past. You can do that. And I think had you done that, and also the stupid thing with the kid and the broom, again, I don't mind that as much. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to become a Jedi just because he's Force sensitive. I mean, we have had Force sensitive people before in the universe, but they don't have to become Jedi. It's never said he's going to become a Jedi. In fact, he's not even taken to the temple. He's just he's just there. Again, we've had Force sensitive people not be Jedi like Leia. And okay, I have to throw this in. The whole Leia Superman thing, I don't think it's lore-breaking per se because, okay, we've seen the Force can do various things. I just think it's kind of silly. And honestly, unneeded. Kill Leia here. It would have made sense. It would have been heartbreaking. Dying at the hands of her own child. That would have made sense because you had that great moment where the two minds interlock and Kylo hesitates to press the fire button, but his co-pilots do it anyway. Now, JJ has promised to tell the story Leia would have wanted in Rise of Skywalker, and hopefully we do get that. But I do think that the plot is really a mess. It needed to cut out a lot of that stuff with the Resistance and focus more on with Rey and Luke and Kylo. Focus more on that. I actually kind of like the confrontation that they had, though I wish Luke had had his green lightsaber. I love that confrontation where Luke tries to redeem himself for his deeds, and he just confronts Kylo, tries to get through to him, only to see that the hate has consumed him. And I think it's a brilliant scene. I love Luke's death. It was peaceful. The music was well done. I just think had you really cut the ending and cut down on the plot, then we could have gotten a much stronger film here, but in the end, we are left with what I feel is an okay film dragged down by lots of problems. This could have been really something great. I like it enough. I think it's a decent Star Wars movie, but it's just not what it should have been. Alright, I'm going to go on a little mini tangent here about the reactions to this film. Just, here we go. Probably not since Ghostbusters 2016 has such a monstrous hate train and defense train been done for a film. If you like it, you're wrong. If you hate it, you're wrong. If you like it, you're a terrible Star Wars fan who's a fanboy and you betray what the originals are. If you hate this movie, you're a misogynistic, sexist pig and you just hate women in Star Wars. That's not it at all, okay? Can we just accept maybe someone likes a movie? Or someone dislikes a film? I find it very middle of the road. Do I hate it? No. Do I hate that some plot elements are slowed down in favor of others? Absolutely. But I don't think this is awful. And if you're going to say this thing wrecked your childhood, yeah, must have had a lot of great memories for a movie to just completely piss all over it, huh? That's fantastic, huh? Seriously, why can't we just accept, hey, guess what? I like what you don't like, but you don't like what I like. That doesn't make you a horrible person. That just means we have differing opinions. And there's no such thing as lore breaking or true fans. I don't get what true fan means. Seriously, what does that mean? Do you know that there are many things in Star Wars past that fans liked and didn't like? They were divided on it, but they were kind of okay with it. They were okay with liking and not liking something. So how come we just can't have fun? I remember when Star Wars used to be fun to talk about. I used to love talking about Star Wars. It's not fun anymore. And sadly for some people, this means that they are not allowed to like Rise of Skywalker, which is kind of sad. When you're not allowing yourself to like a film, it's just sad. Even if there's a film coming out that I'm not exactly looking forward to, I give it a chance. Maybe it can win me over. Maybe I'll like it more than I thought I would. And it's happened. Am I hyped for Rise of Skywalker? Absolutely. I'm just begging Star Wars fans, can we please stop attacking each other? Please, can we play nice? Can we just accept maybe some people have different opinions? If you like the film, that's okay. If you don't like it, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with liking or disliking a film. In fact, here's the thing. You can love the originals and still love this movie. You can love Star Wars as a whole and still hate this movie. In fact, you could have such a variety of opinions. You could have such different thoughts. You could have different ways of looking at it that you would be considered a person who can think for themselves, who is not influenced by anyone else, having your own unique opinion. Can we do that, please? Okay, rant over. Anyway, guys, those are just my thoughts on Last Jedi. I actually kind of like it. I think it's decent, but it has a lot of missteps. But has it ruined the franchise? Absolutely not. There have been plenty of franchises with bad films that come out, but I still love and appreciate the originals. Alien 3 and Alien 4 don't ruin Alien and Aliens for me. The Terminator sequels don't ruin the first two Terminator films. I think this is a perfectly decent sequel. Does it have problems? Absolutely. And I can understand why somebody hates it. I can also understand why somebody loves it. I think there are both two ways to really look at this film, and I understand both. All I'm going to ask is please play nice in the comment section, okay? Please, please play nice. For my sake, please. That's it from me, guys, and that's the end of my Star Wars series. You know, through all the good and the bad, Star Wars is still something special, and I think it's always going to be special. Even if we just get movies until the end of time, there's a reason for it. Star Wars will always be special. To me, it's always going to be special. I've grown up with Star Wars, and it's defined my childhood, whether it be through Lucas or Fox or Disney or whoever. Star Wars will always be Star Wars to me. There is no Disney Star Wars or Fox Star Wars or true Star Wars. There is only Star Wars. There's just like any other franchise. There's good, there's bad. Just give and take. What do you like, what do you not like? And in the end, I think this franchise is always going to be special. Anyways, that is it from me, guys. Look forward to all the Christmas videos coming out soon. I have a lot planned. Anyways, that's it from me, guys, and I will see you nerds later.